We've learned a lot since then. The fire science has changed. And
do you believe she's innocent?
Yes.
Now on News 8 at 6, Target 8's breaking new details in a high-profile crime from nearly 20 years ago. Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Sterling.
And I'm Susan Shaw. Thanks for joining us. Karen Boes, a Zeeland mother convicted of murdering her daughter by setting the girl's bedroom on fire, is asking for a new trial.
She has spent 18 years in prison for a crime that the Michigan Innocence Clinic believes she did not commit. Target 8 investigator Ken Kolker is taking a closer look at the case.
In the 18 years that Karen Boes has been locked up here in the state's only women's prison in Ypsilanti, she has lost all of her appeals. But her new attorneys say this one is based on new evidence. Moments before she was sentenced to prison in 2003, Karen Boes addressed the judge. It was not a plea for mercy. That was not an option. In cases of first-degree premeditated murder, life without parole is the only option.
I am going to be going to prison for the rest of my life for something that I never even would have thought of doing.
It was an awful crime in July 2002 at their home in Zeeland, using gasoline to set the fire that killed her 14-year-old daughter Robin in the girl's bedroom, then leaving to go shopping for shoes.
The head was towards the east, her feet was towards the west. She was laying face down, hands beside her side with her palms up.
Do you believe she's innocent?
Yes.
The University of Michigan Law School's Michigan Innocence Clinic has helped set free more than 24 wrongfully convicted prisoners. Its director, David Moran, is convinced that should happen here, too.
No reasonable jury today would convict Karen Boes if they saw all the evidence.
The clinic plans to file a motion on Monday asking an Ottawa County judge to overturn the guilty verdict and order a new trial. Even one of the original jurors told Target 8 he understands the reasoning, though he stands by the original verdict.
If they can prove, without a shadow of a doubt, that they can prove her innocent, then let her be proved innocent.
She got a guys in a fight, and she saw the gas can. And she told you, what are you going to do with this? And you guys
No, that isn't how it goes. Now, don't put words in my mouth.
The Innocence Clinic argues that prosecutors convicted Boes with a false confession and arson science that is no longer valid.
It's not surprising to me at all that people who sat through the trial, including the jurors, concluded she was guilty. And that's the point of this motion, is that we're 18 years later and we know a lot more now.
We did talk to a relative who was there every day of the trial who said, I have no doubt she did it. And I don't know how you respond to that.
Well, it's not surprising.
The defense argued that the daughter somehow set the fire in her own bedroom, where investigators found matches, traces of gasoline, and the gas can. The prosecution countered with arson investigators who said the fire started in the hallway just outside the partially closed bedroom door, which means the girl could not have started it.
My conclusion that the fire was actually ignited in the hallway, burned there for some seconds before the vapors in the bedroom were ignited.
That helped sway the jury.
When you have professionals come in that are classified as professionals and they do what they're supposed to do and they follow the handbooks, it's hard to fight stuff that is put in front of you that is a proven fact.
We've learned a lot since then. The fire science has changed, and the way that the fire investigators for the prosecution claimed that the evidence proved that Karen had set the fire outside the daughter's bedroom in the hallway is no longer sustainable under what we now know how to do fire investigation.
Investigators said that the burn pattern, where the fire burned deepest, proved that it started just outside that bedroom door. But the Innocence Clinic says experts have since debunked that kind of science. The original investigators also concluded that Boes must have splashed gasoline outside the door, only after eliminating other possibilities, because no traces of gas were found there.
There had to be something else added there, and in my experience, that would be an ignitable liquid.
Using such a process of elimination, the Innocence Clinic attorney says, is no longer acceptable.
The main guy that they relied upon has subsequently been discredited by the major forensic science organization for tailoring his opinions to fit whatever the prosecution wants.
But prosecutors relied on more than just arson science. They painted her as an alcoholic who had told people she hated her daughter and that she wished her daughter were dead.
I do remember them, back and forth, just yelling when they yelled at each other. I hate you too, kind of deal.
The evidence of friction between a mother and a teenage daughter is not evidence of murder.
They don't have a clue.
But Boes repeatedly denied killing her daughter or knowing how the fire started, until hours into an interrogation after police told her a perfectly legal lie.
Remember, the thing you gotta explain is the gas can with your fingerprints and that fire starting the time you were there.
They claim that her fingerprints were found on the gas can in Robin's room, which was a lie. In 2011, the U.S. Supreme Court recognized, and this is a quote, a frighteningly high percentage of people will falsely confess to crimes that they didn't commit. And one of the leading ways that happens is exactly what we saw in the Boes case, which is the internalized false confession, where they get the person to accept they must have done it even if they didn't remember it.
We're assuming that I probably spread gas in her bedroom and down the hallway and into our bedroom.
Are you sure of that?
No. But it's there. I'm just going to take the rap. It's okay.
The prosecutor at the time, John Halsing, jumped on that confession in court.
The admissions on the tape on August 7th from the defendant. We looked at it all together, and there's only one conclusion, that the defendant is guilty of murder.
The prosecutor, now a judge, told Target 8 that he welcomes any review of the case, but that he stands by his earlier statements that the evidence was there. Boes continues to maintain her innocence.
But there is another day of judgment that each one of us will face for the good and bad that we have done. Before Almighty God, I shall not stand accountable for this crime that I have been convicted of.
No hearing date has been set to consider whether to overturn this verdict and order a new trial. In Ypsilanti, I'm Target 8 investigator Ken Kolker.